Central Bank of Nigeria appoints executives for Union Bank, Keystone Bank, and Polaris Bank. Stock market records its first negative close in 2024. Plus, oil prices tick up as Middle East tensions rise. And today on the program, two guests, Dr. Umar Bindir, a former coordinator of the federal government-funded social investment program, and Barrister Chibuzor Okereke, public policy and legislative analyst, are with us on the conversation around social investment. You're welcome to the program. This is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us at this time. It's that time we talk business. I'll bring you up to speed with happenings around the world of business. I'll start by telling you that the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, has appointed new executives to oversee the affairs of Union Bank, Keystone Bank, and Polaris Bank. This is following the dissolution of the board and management of the banks. In an earlier press statement by the Apex Bank, the new executives, Yetunde Oni and Munir Ubali Ringim, will serve as Managing Director and Executive Director of Union Bank. Hassan Imam and Chioma Mang will serve as Managing Director and Executive Director of Keystone Bank, while Lowell Mudatir Omokayode Akintola and Chris Onyeka Ofikulu will serve as Managing Director and Executive Director of Polaris Bank. Now, the Nigerian Customs Service has surpassed its 2023 revenue target by 21.4% as it generated 3.2 trillion naira. Kunle Adeyeye reports that the Comptroller General of the service, Adewale Adeni, at a news conference in Abuja, emphasized that customs will strategically implement policies that will enable it to realize the 2024 target of more than 5 trillion naira.
According a total revenue collection of 3,206,603,417,315 naira 47 kobo was the highest in the history of Nigeria Customs Service, and in some of the months we also achieved the highest monthly collections.
Now, those who should know say anytime the manufacturing sector gets active in an economy, wealth creation manifests. No wonder the federal government is harnessing the potential in the manufacturing sector to create wealth, generate employment, and consolidate on the diversification of the economy. Hakim Jimo, who was the said Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, Doris Uzoka Anite, said this while speaking during her working visit to Ogun State.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is determined to tackle conclusively. Manufacturing and value chain addition or value addition is necessary for the growth and development of our country.
We are aggressively implementing that vision through our development pillars. As much as we prioritized at the provision of infrastructure, we realize that you can provide all the infrastructure in the world. If there's insecurity, nobody will come.
Poverty reduction among top priorities of the 2024 budget of renewed hope. of the present administration, President Tinubu promised that they would rescue the millions of Nigerians currently trapped in penury. To accomplish this requires the adoption and dogged implementation of effective fiscal, monetary, and governance policies. In his words, and I quote, "Poverty is not a shameful thing, but it is an unacceptable thing. Therefore, my vision for the Nigerian workforce is one where every citizen who wishes to be is gainfully employed and able to take care of themselves and their families." On the program today, we take a look at some of the reforms and progress being made. And to discuss this with me is Dr. Umar Bindir. He is a former secretary of the state government, Adamawa state government, as well as the coordinator of the social investment program funded by the federal government. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And joining us virtually is a barrister Chibuzor Okereke. He is a public policy and legislative analyst. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you. Good morning. And good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Good. To start with, there has been a lot of efforts talking about social investment following the advent of COVID-19 and its adverse effect on the economies and impact on families. Government at various levels brought in a lot of interventions to bring succor to families, to bring succor to industries, small businesses that were dying. Hence, the social investment programs were stepped up to a large extent to ensure that these interventions also get to impact positively on the economy. How would you assess the progress so far from inception to date, being that you've been a part of it? Now I'll call you a judge in your own arena, though that was then.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, this is not the first time that I've been involved in this social sector. I was a director in the then FEAP, Family Economic Advancement Program, in the Abuja regime. I was also part of the pioneer leadership of NAPEP under the Obasanjo regime, and I participated in most of these things. So coming to the social investment program, it's literally the same activity. But Nigerians should understand that it's not just because I was part of it and therefore I should also make a statement on the assessment, but Nigerians also and its leadership should assess anything you do has a target, it has an objective, it has a process to achieve that objective. You shouldn't actually lose target of that objective. Don't lose sight of that objective. So when you track data from the National Bureau of Statistics on how poverty levels vary, you will find that we've always been within the 40 to 60% poverty incidence in this country, and that is not very good. What that tells us is that is either what we are doing is not very, very effective, therefore we need to improve, or what we are doing is not working, therefore we have to look at it and change. For the social investment program, I think it's a wonderful innovation. It has a very well integrated structure, empower, give young people skills so that they can be able to gainfully be employed and employed others. As they do the employment, particularly in agriculture, they'll be producing food that will go to the school feeding, which is at the community level. And then as you do that, you empower women for cooking, you become off-takers of the agricultural produce within the communities. And if the young people who have skills cannot have resources to now venture into entrepreneurship, there was JEEP, which is the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, which has a loan portfolio between 50,000 to 300,000. So therefore they can take it. It has no collateral at the time. It has no interest rate, and therefore it's very, very soft to be able to do that. And if you cannot participate in all these, government says identify very, very logically all the poor and vulnerable households using very clear indices, digitize all of them in a national social register, continue to mine from that social register and deliver 5,000 naira to families, households, so that you can improve their consumption also from the farmers that are locally producing, so that they can also take up their informal activities to an enterprise level to support their children to go to school. So it's a very, very well innovated thing, but you will now start telling that it needs technical understanding. You must deploy ICT very, very deliberately, develop the data, know what the data is saying, make sure you partner with people. NSIP is it's national. It's not a federal social investment program. It's national. So we're partnering with states, local governments, non-governmental organizations. So all these things will take time to mature. And remember, the program only came in 2016. It's very difficult to now say, hey, it's not working, it's working. Yeah, you make mistakes, but you learn. There are issues here and there, but you learn. The idea for programs of this nature is that you must learn to correct it, but don't sustain the mistakes and also don't limit your performance because of certain challenges. Therefore, to me, on a scale of 0 to 10, so far, I'll give the NSIP between 60 to 70% effectiveness.
Great, Dr. Bindir. Now, for Chibuzor, Okereke, you've had the submissions of Dr. Bindir from 2016 till now. He has given us a rundown of the various interventions, various programs, and the impact, and has also scored the program between 60 to 70%. From an observer point of view, being a policy analyst, what's your assessment of this? And going forward, yes, there's issue of data, which Dr. Bindir also raised. How effective has been this data, talking about the social register so far?
All right, thank you very much. I think I largely agree with him that this is an important initiative that is basically all over the world. Every international organization is talking about how we can intervene, in terms of bringing social succor and safety net programs to the vulnerable people in our communities, in our states, and nations. So this is not just Nigeria, this is an international program. And that is why people like us who have observed some of the key intervention of the program, especially under this administration, are worried. Because if you look at the renewed hope agenda of the president, you will discover that you don't need to renew the hope of people who are elite in the society, who are they already have a lot of hopes. So the renewed hope is anchored on taking care of the poorest of the poor and the vulnerable people and creating, a viable economic environment at the rural, subnational, and national levels. So for me, I think that is also part of the reason I'm concerned that the woman who has embodied this particular vision, tackling the distrust around the National Social Register and making sure that that register is audited with an audit trail that can ensure that the people that are supposed to be there, are facing the kind of challenges that we are having today, which for me is unfair, because that particular program is the program that will define this administration. If we say that we have over 100 poor people or 130 million multidimensionally poor people in Nigeria, then the social intervention program or investment program is a critical institution that can help pull people, out of poverty. So in the last 6 months or thereabout, we have seen the minister, Dr. Edu, been to over 15 states of the north. Unfortunately, the crisis in that particular ministry has made it impossible for intervention to happen in Plateau State, where a number of states are now facing challenges over administrative issue that people like me have not been able to fathom the clear infraction that has occurred. So the social investment program is very important, and I'm happy under this administration, a lot of investment is going into it with remarkable interest of the foreign partners and development partners who have come in to pledge their support for the program to move forward. So like the doctor highlighted, it is for us to make this a continuum, a work in progress, improving on the systems and learning from the outcomes of the past to ensure that we use it effectively to pull a number of people out of poverty. And we were excited that Dr. Edu was actually doing this before this kind of unfortunate situation came up. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Bindir, now we have a budget of renewed hope, which concentrates on, we have a huge chunk of the budget on social investment, which is aimed at taking a whole lot of the downtrodden out of where they are. Now there has been a lot of suggestions following some controversies around disbursement. Some will tell you, yes, a good number of the would-be beneficiaries have benefited. Some will tell you some who have benefited are actually comfortable Nigerians. How do we get to correct this going forward, more so that a good number of resources, a large chunk of the budget is going to that sector?
Thank you. I think there is a reasonable amount of misunderstanding. To me, the social investment program was not designed just to disburse money. That's not the objective of the program. The program uses these fundings as catalysts to ensure that you empower people, young people particularly, with skills and competencies so that they can be able to do the myriad jobs that are available in our country effectively and gainfully. So the technique of identifying these young people, to participate, irrespective of whether you are educated or not educated, is all cascaded in such a way that you are targeted very, very well. Now, NPower was the youth and skill acquisition system, but it involves graduates too. If you have a degree, even a PhD, if you are unemployed and you are walking the streets, you are vulnerable because you can start doing, cyber issues, you can follow people who you don't need to follow and so on and so forth, So I think the objective is to see how do you identify these people in the most rural areas in Nigeria and be able to design programs for training those ones in agriculture because their environment is agricultural, those ones are industrial in areas, services and so on and so forth, and then the payment of the 30,000 naira to graduates or 10,000 naira and the starter packs to non-graduates will become effective. In a similar manner, the school feeding program is not really about school or just feeding. It is about setting up a, in quote, trap for children to run to, and food is very, very good at that. We know that we have between 20 to 30 million children out of school. So there must be a technique to attract these children from the streets or from wherever they are into schools. And therefore the school feeding is now a technical strategy. It's not the payment only, When you look at the JIP says give loans between 50,000 to 300,000 to all these market women, traders, the girls that you see roasting corn on the street, and so on and so forth, with the hope that this informal sector that Nigeria has so strongly can be sparked to become formal at the lowest level and they can grow, employing themselves and employing others. So again, the technique is not just to work on the disbursement, it is to target these young people, find where they are, see their needs, and technically move on. The cash transfer is there are homes where you have blind people, you have widows that their husbands have died, they have many children that are out of school, and so on, in the same house. The program is about identifying these households and be able to say, put a drop of 5,000 naira per month. I can tell you, when I was young, maybe I was 4 or 5, my father's house would have qualified for this because the guy never went to school. My mother was a full-time housewife. She had one hand, if you need to know, and so on and so forth. Now, with that, still that woman, at the level of poverty, she knew how to roast fish. She knew how to smoke meat. She knew how to make yogurt. She knew how to make soap, dudu oshun, and so on. Skillful energy. If that 5,000 naira can spark her to now start making 10 baths of soap every market day, that will gradually help the children to go to school. So the technicalities of the program is the issue. The payment, anybody can pay, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you on that submission, Dr. Bindir. Now, Okereke, you've heard what Dr. Bindir said, clearing the misconceptions clearly. A lot of people out there feel this program is about the disbursement, and some have said the way these monies are being disbursed is not appropriate and all of that, but Dr. Bindir has shed light on it, on how it actually works. Based on still on shedding light on these issues and the way forward, what are your submissions?
Well, absolutely. I agree. I agree with the doctor. And that is why I'm worried. Like when this administration came to power, I spoke on a sister station and I said, I will look out for ministers who will be able to roll out a roadmap in the next 2 to 3 months. And that is how I will know whether those ministers will be able to make impact and progress. And one of the ministers that defined and actually made this expectation was this humanitarian affairs, who said, okay, Nigerians have concerns about the National Social Register. The Federal Executive Council okayed it. Oh, this needs to be audited to make sure, as doctor said, the people that ought to be there, having that technicality and mechanism to identify them is done. And this has been delivered. And then if you identify these people under the Renew Hope special grant for vulnerable people, monies are disbursed to situations like what a doctor described. I tell you, in this country, we saw the former vice president under the threat of money market, in the market and on the streets, empowering small businesses on the roadside and the market with cash. So today, and people are saying, oh, why was money approved to be disbursed? This is what people like us cannot understand. And we must be careful how we attack programs that tend to address poverty situation in this country. We can query the framework, the methodology, and see how we can improve on it. But let me show you something interesting. Everybody who has sought to attack the ministry have been using item number 713 of the federal government financial regulations that in 2009. And they forget that there is section 1402 sub 3, that is sub III, that talks about advances for disbursement for special programs and provided for special program managers and the program accountant to be appointed, through which those funds will be disbursed. How was the former vice president able to have cash to disburse? How are ministers? So if the accountant general of the federation has responsibility to issue, accounting guidelines to ministries and extra-ministerial agencies, are they saying that we don't have a situation in that provision 1402? Why are people attacking the fact that the government has started, reaching out to people? Why are we not asking that 585 million that has been sent to the project accountant? Has it been disbursed to the vulnerable people? Where are the records of the disbursement? Why is it so? So we have to.
Okay, while a lot of questions have been, sorry, let me hold your thoughts there, as time is not our friend. I think this is a conversation that we should continue. But on a closing note, a lot of issues are coming up, a lot of perspectives out there. Like we've heard from Dr. Bindir, he has shed a lot of light on it, and you too have given your own perspectives to it. And this is a conversation that is ongoing. Thank you so very much, Dr. Umar Bindir, for having to share your thoughts with us at this point in time, as well as Dr. Okereke, Barrister Okereke, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time. But this is a conversation that will continue. Thank you.
Sincerely, we have to. We must defeat this kind of, orchestrated agenda to undermine an important program. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Dr. Bindir, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And on the global scene, European markets are set to rebound at the open ahead of U.S. inflation data. Now, NECA is standing by to give us updates on the equities market around the world. NECA, how is it looking like?
Hello and welcome to the global market segment. Let's start by telling you that all eyes are on the release of the latest U.S. Consumer Price Index report this Thursday, with economists pulled by Dow Jones expecting prices to have risen 3.2% year over year in December. Investors will look through the reports for clues on when the Federal Reserve will start cutting rates. Now, Japan led the advance in Asia markets, extending its record-breaking rally. The benchmark Nikkei 225 climbed 1.77%, the Shanghai Composite rose 0.17%, and the the Hang Seng Index is up by 1.57%. And the U.S. futures tied to the S&P 500 inched up early Thursday morning as Wall Street prepared for the latest inflation data and the start of the fourth quarter earnings season. S&P 500 futures added 0.19%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 0.14%, and the Nasdaq Composite is up 0.32%. Now, European markets are set to rebound at the start Thursday after several days of trading in mixed territory. Germany's DAX is expected to rise 92 points, FTSE 25 points, and the French CAC 51 points. And back home, African markets are set to open in positive territory this Thursday. Already, the JSE Africa Top 40 in South Africa is up by 0.89%. Namibia's overall index is marginally positive, while figures are still being expected from other stocks. And that's Global Market Update this Thursday morning. It's back to you, Benny.
Thank you, Neka. And this is where we end Business Express for today. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on NTA's channel. Business Express returns tomorrow, Friday at 3 p.m. Keep a date with us.